Tessie, my Bessie. Ah, woo. Hopefully, you guys are getting paid. I know I'm having a hell of a morning. My fiance's portfolio is up double digits 3 days in a row. I have her whole account in TSLL. So she's up, I'm looking at it now, 13.86% this morning on her TSLL. She's up double digits 3 days in a row. And her position is up 46%. Oh my goodness. Look, Boba, it really depends how much size you have. If you have like a 10% position, look, I can't tell you what to do, right? Um, you're an adult. If you feel like you want to reward yourself into some of this $430 up here, I think that that's fine. I think you could naturally expect a pullback right at the open. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I think that that's something that you could expect. If that makes you uncomfortable, then you probably should trim some. Yeah, ultimately you have to do what makes you comfortable. What makes me comfortable in this situation is holding. That's just me. So I don't expect you to be like me. All I know is that when I have conviction the way I did for something like Tesla, I wanted to go for the jugular. Now, my mistake was not even having as much size as I wanted. I wanted to get even more aggressive. I just couldn't find another spot. And I added 3 times to it. So, but I wanted more. That's how much conviction I had. And I still don't feel like I have enough. But with that said, if you are uncomfortable in any way, then you should take some off, right? If you're like, oh, I'm up 20%, I got to take some off, then take some off, right? I can't tell you what to do ultimately. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm in the driver's seat. I like the driver's seat. The worst case scenario for me is I give back some open gains, and either way, my life doesn't change. And then on the flip side of that, this thing ends up at 500 at some point, 600, 700, and I'll have gotten a chance to add some more, and I'll have an absolute gigantic, portfolio changing kind of trade. So that's my perspective. I mean, I'm okay giving back some open gains just to trail the ascending moving averages. I know there are most times that I'm in a name where I do like to trim some into that strength to treat it like a business, but there are just times when I want that I want to be greedy, and this is kind of one of those instances. I have over 20% position, especially now that it's ballooned up. Rocket Lab definitely showed up in my relative strength scan, and Rocket Lab had a pretty nice buy in 2 spots. You had a buy off of the 50-day. You could have also bought it on Thursday. You could have bought some even on Friday over this red bars high. Yeah, ETHU. I won't be messing with it if we take out Friday's lows on ETHU. Yeah, you're uncomfortable with not having 99. I mean, that's personally how I feel. You missed the Tesla entry, you're feeling a bit of FOMO. Well, then I suggest you study your entry tactics and your setups a little bit more, so you don't miss the next one. Dude, don't get FOMO. The last thing you want to do is like watching everybody else make money and you take a loss. I mean, that's just a slap in the face. So don't get FOMO. Wait for another daily setup and then go after it when it offers low risk. I mean, that's all you can do. Know your daily setups. If you haven't seen my video on Chart Fanatics, then you're missing out. I'm definitely not using the 10-day on Tesla. I'm using the 20-day for now, and if the stock earns the right for me to use the 50, then I'll use the 50. How do you prepare for big moves like Tesla? You sold the first 6% spike 3 days back. That means that you didn't understand what you were buying, and you didn't understand the stock's potential. If you sold the first 6% spike, you did not understand the potential of what you were looking at. What you were looking at was a huge base breakout, right? If you're telling me you looked at this and you sold the first spike here, then you didn't understand this base's potential, is what that tells me. Again, I'm not trying to call you out, but you have to study. And you know, here's the thing: you made money. That's important. So if you made money, that allows you the opportunity to kind of step back a little moment and figure out how the hell you hold these things going forward. You know, if you don't have rules to trail positions, then you're going to be on the outside looking in on a lot of good stuff. And you know, that's why I switched from being a day trader to a swing trader, so I can catch moves like this and potentially a whole lot bigger, right? I'm not looking to trim this position off. I want, for me personally, I'd like to see this become a, you know, $3, $4, $5 million winner. I mean, that will move the needle on my portfolio. That will make me feel fantastic, and you know, then that'll be a home run trade. Right? If it's just another couple $100,000 winner, I mean, then that's not going to really do a whole lot. And that's what the trade's going to be, no matter what at this point. So it's either going to be a decent little trade or it's going to be a home run. And all I'm really doing is just sitting patiently. I have no idea. Shopify doesn't look bad. Yeah, this one was on last night's watch list video. Yeah, who knows? We'll see. Maybe over Friday's highs. You missed the computer systems group on Friday. What the hell is that? What is the computer systems group? And any idea how to get back in? I don't know what that even means. Could you explain what you mean by that? You mean the group of like MU, STX, WDC, SNDK? When do I add to Baba? So I was looking at Baba a whole lot lower, but I'm just waiting for a better setup. I don't have anything here, unfortunately. I was looking at it down here, and I just found this to be far too choppy. And then obviously you got the gap up on earnings, which I didn't buy. I thought it was good this day here. And I talked about it the night before on the watch list video, but I just didn't see a spot to add, unfortunately. So I think AOI looks great. Yeah, AOI. Fantastic. We'll see. Pony. Yeah, who knows? I don't know how much I love it, but you know, it's all right. Brock, you're in the room, dude, right? if I'm not mistaken. I'm almost 100% positive you are. So if you didn't see me mention it on last night's watch list video, then I suggest you go watch last night's watch list video. That's probably the first thing I would do if I were you. And if you don't see me mention it on the watch list video, then that's probably intentional. Do I like solars for today? You know, not really. I already own MP, but I do like the way it was bouncing off the 50-day here. Very nice. So I bought this thing a few days ago on Tuesday. My first trim in Tesla will come as a big extension from the 50. Just not yet. How do I prepare for rate cuts on Wednesday? I clench my cheeks. Probably clenched tight. My love, would you close the door? Thank you, baby. Appreciate it. Sorry, guys. My neighbor just showed up. But yeah, that's the way I prepare for rate cuts. Clench the cheeks. There's nothing I can do, right? Like all of my stocks are well in the green. And if they're not, right, like I bought ETHU on Friday and it's gapping down, about like $1 lower than my average, $1.50. So if we break, for instance, Friday's lows, I'll take my stop. CCJ, if it doesn't continue to act well, I'll take my stop. My ARC acts fantastic in its new 52-week highs this morning. So you just got to let it work, right? Even if it pulls back, like who cares, right? CCL, I'm just trailing the 50. PDD is just trailing the 20. MP is now pushing up. I don't know what that's going to do. Oklo looks like a new 52-week high, an all-time high is coming. Palantir with a slight little gap down, but I'm still green on it. So, like, there's no real way for me to prepare for the rate cut on Wednesday other than continue to make my watch list, be prepared for some longs if there are any, be prepared on the short side if there are any and the market reacts negatively, and then make sure I don't take too much exposure the day before, right? And then make sure that all of my positions are being trailed properly. Like that's all you can really do. And that's what I mean by take it one day at a time. Like first things first, I have to deal with my open positions in my portfolio. That's the most important part. The open positions in my portfolio. From there, right, all I can do is just kind of sit back and relax and be react to the news and not try to guess as to what it might be or what the reaction might be. You trim before close on Friday on Tesla? I mean, again, I don't understand why necessarily. You just trim day 2. I mean, but again, a trim's nothing bad. A trim is fine. Yeah, Uber looks great. We'll see if it goes. Yeah, PSIX doesn't look too bad. On the relative strength, shouldn't you choose the lower performing groups since they have more chances of spiking than the ones who might already lose steam? I don't understand the question. Are you telling me if I want to go long, I should choose the weaker groups? Or what? I'm confused on the question. If you could kind of rephrase it, I'd love to answer it. I just don't know exactly what the question that's being asked. Yeah, MBIS is interesting. I talked about it last night on the watch list video. I think it's just a touch extended from the 50, but I do like the way it is hanging in there. And they did an offering too. Connor put a great to how to prepare based on setups. Yeah, those are just ones that you want to trail. I don't find Mondays to be any differently than Fridays or Tuesdays or Wednesdays or Thursdays. Treat them the same. If there's a setup and it's working and the market's healthy, you take it. Right? Doesn't matter that it's Monday morning. TEM, I don't see a setup just yet. I like what it's doing. I like the way it's trending up to 20, but I don't see a setup to buy it. Qualcomm, a bit of a laggard. I'm still in CCJ. Unfortunately, it's not doing too much. Home Depot looks fine with the housing stocks. I don't know that I would buy it. It's far too slow. My thoughts on BitDeer. I like the way it pushed out. I think it was on Friday, right? Yeah, Friday. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I would buy it. The entry was on Friday. If you didn't buy it on Friday, it's kind of a chase here. Oh, got it. QBTS, QUBT, Rigetti, and IONQ. The entry for Rigetti wasn't on Friday, although I thought it was decent over $17. The entry was really on 99, and it's the same deal with IONQ, right? The entry was on 99. Just over this little clean downtrend line break. Very simple setup. I mean, incredibly simple. I bought Tesla a couple times. I bought Tesla, I'll tell you right now. I bought Tesla at my three spots. Uh, 353, 348, 358. 353.10, 348.03, 358.60, and I have a nice position open. We got a nice position going. And it's gapping up quite a bit this morning. Unbelievable move, man. $352.57 cost basis. AOI does look pretty good. All right, let's get Nick up here really quick. I guess copy. See what Nick is thinking. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, MP gapping up. All right, let's see.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Hey, can you hear me?
Sorry, brother, didn't see you. Um, Hold on. I'm just shooting you a message on the Discord really quick. So, what are you seeing out there today? Anything of interest going on for you?
I just opened my screen right now. So Tesla's the big one that's catching my eye. That's a nice way to wake up on Monday.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I was hoping SMR would not gap up this much this morning. We had like a higher low 50 pop setup, but not going to be chasing that. MP with a nice gap up, not going to chase that.
So, in other words, we're on our hands.
Yeah, I think just letting positions ride. The only one that I kind of going through this I'm interested in is FUTU, which I already have a position in, but looks really nice here.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that PDD can get itself going. I'm just getting this fixed.
Yeah, because Baba is gapping up a little bit as well.
And Baba just had a big earning or a big offering not long ago, so that was completely unaffected.
Yeah, when stocks soak up like bad news or an offering and then just take out the highs of the previous day, that's a huge sign of strength. And it did that and much, much more. If you just look at Chinese stocks as a whole, like we've been talking about K-Web, like building the right side of the base, build it up, build it up, build it up, just like we've been talking about Tesla putting in those higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. And now we've got our base breakout. So nice to see.
For Tesla, I actually think the full self-driving is amazing. But the car wouldn't be for me. It'd be for my fiance. So, unless she gives me the thumbs up that that's actually the car she'd be cool driving for the next few years, then, she's the boss. What do I think of QQQ for today? I don't have an opinion on the indices here. It's above the rising 50, it's above the rising 20, it's above the rising 10. Tesla's obviously gapping up. Meanwhile, Nvidia's gapping down. Microsoft with a slight little gap down, but Google with a slight gap up. It's like, what do you want me to tell you? Some of the best stocks in the world are gapping up. Some of the best stocks in the world are gapping down. So there's no edge in trying to figure out what the QQQ is going to do today. As a swing trader personally, my only job is to say, how are my stocks acting? If your stocks are acting like shit, then you need to take the exit, right? If your stocks are acting well, then you need to either, if it's day 3, day 5, day 10, whatever, trim a little into strength, trail the rest, right? At least that's how I normally treat it, right? Ultimately, you have to decide what's best for you, but what do I think for the QQQ today is totally irrelevant, because if I owned Google and Tesla, I'd be waking up thrilled. If I owned Nvidia and Microsoft, I'd be very disappointed, right? And your emotions would sway to what you'd expect from the QQQ based on what you own. And again, part of the reason why I don't own or trade the QQQ, I'm long Tesla, right? I'm not here to try and kind of decide what's going to happen. Totally irrelevant. It's like, could it go higher? I mean, why would it go lower? We're above the rising 50. We're above the rising 10, 20, and 5. And my stock Tesla, I think, can carry the world Like that's how I want to feel about it. And then on the flip side, there's going to be like people who go, oh man, Nvidia gapping down. China said they, something about antitrust, et cetera. And that's why we gap down. That's going to crush the market. It's like, your guess is as good as mine. And that's the problem. It's a guess. Where would I want my ads to Oklo to be? I'm hopeful that we just kind of hit that $85 level and then just stop. Right? I'm hopeful that we can just hit right here and then just literally stop and then pause right there. One inside day today, an inside day tomorrow, or a rejection right at that level, and then a small little higher low, and then I could buy it through that $85 breakout. So CDNS. After a stock undergoes volatility like this, where you get that big gap down on volume, I kind of just leave it alone for a little bit.
Yeah, RKLB is a good example of this. It had that big malfunction bar, kind of like CDNS, and then it needed like 6 days to get back over the moving averages and then tighten up for like 2 or 3 days. And then it made its real move there.
Yeah, there's not a big reason for me to try to plow myself into that thing, honestly. It's just too much volatility. I like volatility to contract and trade nice and slow. Do I read anything into the fact that Tesla's gapping massively in pre-market? Does this indicate investor accumulation or market makers getting enough stock? No, I can't read into any of that, honestly.
I don't think it's a bad sign that it's gapping up.
No, all it's really doing is pushing away from my average so I can hold it. So that's it. It's not doing anything wrong. My thoughts on SATL or QUBT. Pretty big base for this SATL. I don't like stocks that only trade 5 million bucks a day, though. That's like nothing. So for me, it's just kind of leave alone. QUBT, you missed your entry, right? Friday. And this is kind of your laggard right now. IONQ is your leader, and the time to have bought it was on 9/9. If you miss your entry on 9/9, then, you missed your entry on 9/9. What are you going to do? Would I rather buy SYM or RR? Yeah, I don't want to buy RR. They don't report earnings. You know why? Because this poopy little company doesn't have any. Like, don't waste your life looking at stocks. Look, could it go higher? Of course it can. But if there's going to be a leader in that robotic space, it's going to be Tesla, and then SYM is another one. They're already doing things in that theme. Also, it's shown you the ability to make a really big clean move. RR has not shown that ability at all. So kind of keep that in mind. No, I really also don't care about NVTS, right? The only reason this thing ever made a big move was because Tesla or Nvidia took a position in them. To me, that's not a reason to get overly excited about NVTS. We'll see. right? But this is kind of, it's done nothing ever since that initial move. So do I wait until the 9:30, 9:45 for a low of the day, then buy off of that? Then if it undercuts that low, you sell, or is it a high of the previous days? I'm a little confused on that. So typically my buys, I like them to be undercut and rally. So sometimes they can undercut a prior day's low. I know Nick loves support gap setups, probably his favorite entry tactic. But for me, it's normally a buy outside of the range or a prior day high, which again is getting outside of yesterday's prior day's range. And then my stop would be the low of the day that I buy it, or if the setup is slow enough or tight enough, the prior day's low. Oh, Nick will tell you his opinion. Nick, what do you think about Roblox?
I think it's an awesome stock. I think you were fine to short it like when you did, but after the gap down to the 50-day moving average, you had 5 days trading sideways, like trapping shorts at that point, and then the gap up on what was that, August 25th. That creates what's called an island gap, and then everyone who shorted down there at the 50-day is now trapped and have to cover. And we've seen like from that point. I don't want to buy it up here where it's extended because we do have a resistance gap at the top that we've hit 5 times now. So I'll be watching for pullback into the 10-day and the gap up zone. Actually, the 20 days catching up. So that would be like a really good risk reward spot that I'm watching. Right around like the 129 area.
I personally have a hard time trading Roblox mentally because I've got a 13-year-old sister. The amount of messed up stuff that Roblox still doesn't have under control on their platform is unacceptable. So mentally, I hope it goes to the moon for the longs, but I also hope it goes to zero at the same time. Intel, no, right? Everybody keeps mentioning this thing for some reason. I mean, look, maybe one day it decides to go higher, but it hasn't even gotten out of its stage one base. And this bull market's been going on for 2 years, right? So like this thing is lower or at about the same price we were when we bottomed in October of 2022. All right, let that sink in for a second. We are lower than the lows of October 22. And we've just had probably the strongest 2+ year bull market that I think any of us can remember. Semiconductors have gone absolutely nuts. Nvidia has gone up tenfold, and people still talk about Intel, right? I mean, what's the point? At least let it show some momentum and then buy the high type flag when it's in an established stage 2 uptrend, which it's not. It's still in a stage 1 base. Monster, not actually a bad looking chart. This is actually, if I'm not mistaken, the stock market's all-time biggest winner. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that it's up there with names like Nvidia or Deckers and Monster. Yeah. So I think Monster used to be like 17 cents, and they've done a split, a 2-for-1. So really, it's like 17 cents to $128. It's pretty impressive. Comp, not bad. Building higher lows off the 20. I mean, yeah, it's not bad. So, I'd like to see some kind of a better flat base. This is starting to look like a cup and a handle, but yeah, who knows? We'll see if that one can maybe get going over, what is that, 970s? HROW, too thin.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of money. Not a lot of money, but I've lost money plenty of times trying to trade HROW in the past. It's on my no trade list.
It's on your no trade list? I've never traded that thing, to be honest with you. AEHR, what are your thoughts here, Nick?
Let me bring it up. So it had a perfect test of the HVC after the August 25th close. last week, that was the time to buy it, like up against that area, up against the 10-day moving average where you can manage risk nice and tight.
Right here.
Because it's a thinner name, you're going to have a lot of volatility in the stock. So at least for me, I want to be buying on like undercuts in those situations so I can keep my risk still managed. I don't think it's doing anything wrong here. It's like consolidating at the 5-day and touched off the 10-day on Friday. But I think the buy point was September 9th.
I can't remember a stock that's had so much volatility. I remember I've traded this name on the way up at like $6 or $7 in here. So, I mean, look at this. The first time I traded this in here. And then, this thing went on a really nice run. And then it did it, kind of gave it all back from 26 all the way back to 5. Then I traded it again in here after this earnings push right in here. And then again in here, if I'm not mistaken. And I got kind of shaken out of that one. And then I never held for, this move. I never got even involved on this earnings gap up. This would have been a nice little spot right in there. And then, of course, this thing just ends up going on a super big move and then gives it all back. Incredible. This is one of those names that's like, it's like one of those model books for short-lived stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and then right back at it potentially. If we look back.
It's more like an indicator when momentum's in the market. If it's a momentum market, this will be going up. And if it's not, this is going to go right back down.
Yeah. Yeah, Grab's got a nice weekly base. I don't know that it's buyable here, obviously, but, it was buyable a few days ago. What is this? Not last week, the week prior. So not last Wednesday, the week prior. It's Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever day this is. 9-4. Looks good though. Huge weekly base. My expectation is it in time it goes higher. They're like the do everything app of Southeast Asia. So no trim here on Tesla. Yeah, no trim. My plan is to just trail, and everybody should have their own plan, right? Don't be like me. If you have too much size and you're feeling uncomfortable, lighten the load. If your plan was to trail when you bought it, then trail it. If you want to get paid and sell some. But I want to just ride this till kingdom come. I want to sell some after I buy my humanoid robot to clean the dog shit in my backyard. So that's when I want to trim my Tesla. So, but not a second earlier. he'll poop scoop the dog's turds in the backyard, and then he'll come in, he'll wash his little robot hands, and then he'll put away the dishes.
But if he sees you selling Tesla, he might act up against you.
I'm going to teach my robot how to trail the Tesla position.
He's like, you're not allowed to sell me.
No, that would actually be pretty cool if I could hire the assistant to trim my positions, take my robot with me to the golf course so he could carry my bag. There's a lot of useful things I could see myself doing with that humanoid robot. And I really don't want to trim too early. I want to make sure that I can buy a few of them so, they could be friends. And this is kind of one of those instances where you hold this thing long enough. Guys, it just went from $330. Nick, remember when it was bouncing off the 200? And literally on stream, we were like, oh, yeah, this 200 looks perfect. It's a perfect tight risk area. You're $100 higher from there in like a week. So how do we know we can't get to 500 in another 10 days?
Especially given the market. Like, we're in one of those wild markets where wild things happen. And you want to allow your positions to do some wild things.
That's exactly right. I mean, couldn't have said that any better myself. And the only way you catch that wild move is you just sit there and be patient. I think KTOS looks good. KTOS is in the aerospace and defense group, and they'll move a bit with Jesus, I'm blanking. Rocket Lab, MRCY, DRS, HWM, ASTS, although that one's been getting beaten up, etc. Yeah, TEM would look awesome if it could just slow up and go sideways a little bit more. I didn't really like these like rising wedges or, rising channels at the, 20 day. I guess it was buyable on Thursday, but it's just not a setup for me. Yeah, all of my ads in Tesla were smaller percentage wise. Really, my first to second ad were the same size, roughly. And then my third ad was smaller. In hindsight, every ad should have been bigger. But again, that's hindsight, right? It's like I still, just because I've got big conviction in something doesn't mean I want to lose money. Rocket Lab was buyable off the 50 day on 9.5. It could have been buyable over $51, but you would have had to have been ready for it.
Yeah, I just said Thursday through like Wednesday's high was the breakout buy point.
Thoughts on Neo? Had a beautiful flag. And these are basically identical. Right, so these are like very, very similar setups going on here as before. I do like that it did an offering and it got bought right back up. That's what you want to see from your stocks, right? You get an offering and then bought right back up. So,
and it's in the right theme.
Yeah, I think chasing stuff is always a mistake. When you say chasing stuff now is a mistake, I don't know what you mean, because chasing is always a mistake. Like, I wouldn't be adding to Tesla today. So I don't really know what you mean by chasing is a mistake. It's a mistake always. Every chart you ever look at, if you're chasing price extended from moving averages or just buying it after the breakout without a pullback or digestion, it'll forever be a mistake in someone's career. You just don't chase, right? But what you're saying seems a little, it's generic because I don't even know exactly what you're talking about. So it's always a mistake to chase. That's like the simple way to get your ass kicked in the market.
I think he was just saying there's a lot of people chasing now.
But like what? Are they going to be buying Tesla this morning?
I'm sure some people will be.
Yeah, those are day traders though.
Yeah.
There's not a competent swing trader on planet Earth who is buying Tesla today for a swing. If they are, they'll be losing their careers quickly, right? Because you take a trade like that 100 times in your career, you'll be out of business really soon. So again, there are zero competent traders on planet Earth buying Tesla today for a swing trade. So they're definitely not swing traders. And yeah, if you think Tesla's just good for a scalp today and you're quote unquote chasing, who cares? It's a scalp, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter. No, I didn't. I think Uber looks fine, but it needs to get over the 52-week high. That's probably the only spot I would consider messing with it. So crowd gapping over the 50. Not quite. The 50 is 447.80. Ethereum with a bit of a gap down. The only issue I have with Ethereum is how crowded it is. It's very, very crowded to the long side. Very crowded. Am I trimming any Tesla here? No, you must have missed my soliloquy about never selling any until my shares are taken. When my little robo human can pick up my dog shit and then hold my golf bag, then I'll sell some. Yes, Tesla is one of the best signs of a risk-on environment. Yeah, I agree with you, Scotland. Yeah, 100%. And look, I could be making a mistake not trimming any of my Tesla. But when you come out of a big weekly base like that, I don't want to do anything with it. Like I don't want to try and assume this is the top or this is the high. I think the market is trying to price in robo taxis. I think eventually it'll try to price in humanoids. And I'm already accepted the fact that I will never sell the highs. I'll get stopped out when it's starting to lose moving averages. And right now we're well above them. So it just is what it is. Can you explain why I bought Oklo instead of Nick? Did you buy Oklo?
Yep.
Okay. I just bought Oklo because it was a very, very simple downtrend line break. And by the way, I don't really love downtrend lines, but this is literally it, right? You're above all key moving averages. You just held the 50. You just built a series of higher lows, right? And then you just got nice and tight on 910, and I bought the expansion candle the next day.
Yeah, so I bought Oklo 9.9 after the shakeout on the 5th under the 50-day, and then we had that super tight day with low volume. Then just over that day's high was my entry.
Beautiful.
On that.
Yeah. So you bought something like $72 and a couple cents.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I went with Oklo instead of GEV because GEV had multiple resistance gaps overhead. It moves a little bit slower, and we're in the kind of acceleration part of this market uptrend. So you're going to get some pretty crazy moves in the market at this point, and Oklo has shown the ability to make those like really outstanding moves. So I went with that over GEV.
Makes sense to me. It's also slower, right? So like if you have a smaller account and you have to buy a $600 stock versus an $80 stock, and then one moves like half of the ADR of the other, seems like a no-brainer. Do I think CCJ is playable through 80? Yep, I do. But I would like to see a nice pickup in volume. Yeah, and you know, like Rocket Lab, they're just bouncing, like Rocket Lab and CLS, these names are just bouncing off of ascending moving averages. That's all that's happening. Yeah, I think MP's gapping up a little more. Like I won't be chasing it. I already own it from lower, and I like to see this move up. So I'm happy about that. But, you know, as long as we can stay out above 65, 60s or something like that, 65, 62, basically this little wick high and build out from there. Yeah, I mean, you know, it could be fine. I think MP looks great holding on to the 50-day. So DLO, D local or something. What are they? What's their
D local limited.
D local limited. I mean, here's the way
that resistance gap.
You know, and not only that, Nick, like sometimes I like to think about it this way. You only need 6 to 12 names in your portfolio, and you could basically be fully invested. Like, where on this list of stocks that you'd like to own does DLO fit? Like, what number is it? How this even would make your top 20 is beyond me, right? So, again, you could know something about the company that bumps it into your top 5 for sure, but there's nothing here that goes, oh man, look at this price action. This thing is strong. It's built a nice base. It's shown the ability to make clean and linear moves. It's gotten nice and tight. This looks terrible. So, you know, and here's the thing. You could buy this stock at 30 and then it might look a whole lot better. And the theme might be more in play. The stock might be in a better position. Buying it at 30. Right here, this just looks like terrible. Terrible. CoreWeave, you know what? Oh, man, that kind of hurts. We were looking at CoreWeave off of this 5-day on Friday, too, like right through here. 106 or something, 106, 107, right back through the 5-day. Oof. Ouchies. Serve looks better than SYM. No, it doesn't. Respectfully, this thing doesn't look better. It hasn't even, it made a move up and then it's literally been going sideways for 4 months, right? SYM in the last 4 months has made a huge move. It went from in the time when SERV was going sideways, SYM went up almost 200%. Futu's a beast. Frog. Haven't seen this one in a while. I thought it was good on 821. I don't really see a spot after that. No, I would leave Oracle alone. I don't know what's going on here. There's got to be some kind of news on Oracle this morning, but I would leave it alone here. Yeah, just I don't know. I'll be watching Reddit pullbacks, into ascending moving averages. I've kind of missed my spot on this thing a few times, so
yeah, the 10-day and the gap zone on Reddit is what I'm watching at 241.
Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, CoreWeave's gapping up on a deal with. Okay, yeah, I see CoreWeave. Oh, they filed an 8K this morning with into a new order form. So hold on a second. They got a $6 billion deal with NVIDIA. I don't understand. Doesn't CoreWeave buy chips from NVIDIA with some of NVIDIA's investment money? This financial engineering stuff's going to blow up in everybody's faces at some point. I don't actually see the 8K, but what about VSAT? Yeah, this is not bad. A little extended. Yeah, I couldn't buy it. You can make or buy a model book. I think both are good options. TraderLion makes a great model book.
If you never made one before, I would get the TraderLion one, see what a model book looks like, and then make your own. There's huge benefit of making your own, but it's good to see what others do first.
I've made mine. And I'll only ever make one. Do I think Tesla could trace back to 370 again? I hope not. I mean, anything's possible, I guess, but that's not like my base case. My base case is that we go to 500. I don't know. Or it goes to 370. I don't, all that's out of my hands. So, all right, guys, I got to get my butt rolling. Nick, as always, dude, thanks for being here. We'll get you back on again this week. And, yeah, we'll see you in the room in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
I appreciate you guys. You guys traded well. Congratulations to the Tesla holders. I will see you guys in about 23 hours. Trade them well today. Start your week off well. Please be, thoughtful that you got a rate cut coming up this week. So just take it one day at a time. Sorry, I couldn't get to all the questions today. Just had to try and get Nick on. So the Discord, brother. I go on live stream in about 5 minutes in the room. So we'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning. Trade them well. Please be safe out there.